music notation software like Finale are used to create and print sheet music. It aims to capture and expedite the process of writing music in our Western classical tradition, but also allows for more modern and avant-garde styles of score writing. The software makes use of a GUI, or graphical user interface, that replicates a standard piece of sheet music, but is customizable to whatever instrumentation and notation styles one might need. Perhaps what music notation software does best is allow musicians to create a truly professional musical product. Let's start by taking a look at the default startup view for Finale. This page here is where all the instruments you've added to your file will be presented, and is where you'll be placing all of your note data, articulations, and dynamics, just like on a real piece of sheet music. Up here on the left is the main tools palette, and some of these may be familiar to you. The selection tool, for example, lets you select a measure or a group of measures, while the hand tool lets you click and drag and move around your score more easily. There's also a transport bar on the top right, which gives basic playback controls and lets you see which measure and beat the playhead is currently on. Before we get to the other important palettes, let's go through the setup wizard to get a new instrument into our score. Go to File, New, Document with Setup Wizard. Here you can choose from a number of various preset ensembles, if they fit the instrumentation you're writing for. To create a custom one, just choose Create New Ensemble and hit Next. Here's where you can choose the instrumentation for your score. For now, let's just click on Piano and hit Add, and then hit Next again. Here's where you can enter any information you'd like presented in the score. In the title section, I'll just write Test, and hit Next. Finally, you're given options for starting key and time signature, as well as a tempo marking and pickup measure. For now, let's just hit Finish and we'll see all of the information we just entered presented in score form. Note that all of the information we just entered can be changed and added to later as well. Now that our document is set up, let's take a look at the primary entry tools you'll be working with. Data entry in most music notation software can be done in a number of ways. You can place notes, rests, articulations, and dynamics with the program's various tools through mouse input, or you can record MIDI data in real time or enter it step by step with a MIDI instrument if you have one. Basic note and rest entry in Finale can be done by clicking on any of the note icons in the Simple Entry palette and the Simple Entry Rests palette. Right now, the Rest palette doesn't seem to be showing up, so if this is the case, click on Window at the top and select it in the drop-down menu. Let's enter some notes now. We're just going to notate a simple 1-5-1 progression in C major. Click on the half note in the Simple Entry palette, and as you can see when I hover over my staff, my mouse has changed to that icon. Enter a middle C by clicking, and then enter an E and a G above it. Now, this is a good time to show an aspect of Finale that can take some getting used to. I only have 2 beats of this measure notated, but if I click on another measure, you'll notice that Finale filled in the missing 2 beats with rests. This is because all of the beats in a measure must be accounted for, so if you begin working on another measure before finishing a previous one, Finale will automatically fill those beats in with rests. Since we don't want that, let's just switch to our eraser tool right up here and get rid of that note and the rest. Now, switch back to the half note tool again, and let's enter a G major chord in first inversion. Finally, switch to the whole note tool, and let's put in our C major chord again on beat 1 of the next measure. This time though, I'll show you a shortcut for entering chords. If I input a C and then press the 3 button on my keyboard, I can fill in a third above that C. If I press 3 again, I can input another third above that E. The same goes for fourths, fifths, and any other interval, all of which relate to the topmost pitch in the chord at the time. This is just an easy and fast way to enter triads and other chords if you don't want to be clicking around so much. Now hit the play button on the transport bar and you'll hear the progression. Let's say we just want to copy and paste this pattern into another measure. We can use the selection tool, click and drag on the measures, and choose Edit, Copy. Then select the next measure and choose Edit, Paste. It is also possible to import pre-existing MIDI data and have it represented in Finale. For example, say you wanted to look at a MIDI file of a piano piece in Finale. To do this, go to File, Open, and select the MIDI file you want to import. Finale will give you various options on how to import the data, but for now, let's just hit OK, and you'll see a score representation of the MIDI file. From here, you can transpose, copy, rewrite, and further edit the data. One of the most important things to learn in using music notation software efficiently is knowing at least a few keyboard shortcuts. An extremely helpful shortcut for switching between note values quickly can be done by using the number pad on your keyboard. With the simple entry palette in use, numbers 1 through 8 let you cycle through the different note values. Number 9 lets you quickly enter a triplet value. Another important shortcut lets you enter rests quickly as well. Any note value you enter can quickly be turned into its respective rest value by hitting R on a highlighted note. For example, let's say we want to turn our second G major chord into a rest instead. We can actually do that with the simple entry palette just by clicking on one of the notes that we already entered. If a note is purple, that means that it's highlighted, and if we press R, we can turn that into its respective rest value. These two shortcuts are very helpful in speeding up the data entry process, and a full list of Finale shortcuts can be found in the Keyboard Shortcuts window here. When your project is finished, Finale allows you to print the full score, but also lets you extract instrument parts and edit or print those separately as well. Under the Document menu, we can select Edit Part and choose to look specifically at any instrument in our score. In this brass quintet, for example, I can choose to view only the first trumpet part. On printing, Finale will give you the option of which parts of your score you'd like to print.